Hello and welcome to another modern video. Today I bring to you the new hotness. This deck has been making waves and it's a brand new archetype, a very interesting combo deck that it was created by DaviusMinimus. He's a member of the Amulet Titan community and he loves to brew decks like this, very well known for playing Kiki Jiki piles. And now what he's been cooking was a Tameshi Reality Architect combo deck. So the way this deck works is, of course, we have the namesake, which is Tameshi. For 2 and a blue, you get a 2/3 legendary creature Moonfolk Wizard that says whenever one or more non-creature permanents are returned to hand, you draw a card. This ability triggers once each turn. And then for X and 1 white mana, you get to return a land you control to its owner's hand. Then you return target artifact or enchantment card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcerer. So this card is obviously quite powerful. The thing is that it didn't really have a shell before. Well, now it does. So what are we trying to do here? So we have Tameshi, and for a single white mana, what we can do is we can return a card with CMC 0. For example, Lotus Bloom. So you spend 1 white mana, you get your Lotus Bloom. You crack your Lotus Bloom for white. You use Tameshi again, you get Lotus Bloom back. So as long as you have lands in play that you can return to hand, you can basically net 2 mana for every loop. Then, when you're finally done, what you do is you go ahead and you cast Cultivator Colossus, you drop all of your lands from your hand into the battlefield, you draw that many cards, and what that does, obviously, is it allows you to get rolling again. Like, you get to float some more white mana, you get to put Lotus Bloom back into play from the graveyard, and so on and so forth. The idea is you end up eventually drawing your entire deck, or whenever you get tired, you just Finale of Devastation for X equals 10. And this way, you just get to kill your opponent on the spot. We also have some ways to ramp in Noble Hierarch. There are some other lists running around playing either Burst of Paradise or Utopia Sprawl. Both of those are interesting. Utopia Sprawl is a little bit challenging, yeah, because we have access to all of these utility lands. We also have access to basics, but you know, Utopia Sprawl kind of forces you to have access to a basic, to a forest, preferably a basic, so it cannot get destroyed by Boseiju or something. So it kind of puts a lot of a harder strain on the mana. So we're gonna be playing some Noble Hierarchs here, and this is Davius's list also as well. And then we have Eladamri Skull that can find our Tameshi. We also have Wargate, which can find Tameshi for 6 mana or can find Lotus Bloom for 3 mana, which is very, very interesting. And then we have a couple of one-offs that we can tutor for in Goblin Engineer. Engineer, of course, can go tutor for Lotus Bloom and put it into the graveyard. Sakura Tribe Elder, which can help us ramp. And Skyclip Apparition, which can be a way to kill an opposing Planeswalker or something like that, maybe something like an Ashok or whatever. The Fairy Time Raveler is a way for us to be able to combo with impunity. And then we have some interesting additions in Portable Hole, Seal of Removal, and Spell Pierce. The Spell Pierce, I talked to Davius and he told me that this is basically like a sideboard slot that we're fitting in the main deck. So nothing too interesting there. But the other 2 cards are cards that we can get back with Tameshi, which is interesting. And Seal of Removal not only acts as removal spells for our opponent's creatures, but it also acts as a way that we can protect Tameshi from opposing removal. So Seal of Removal definitely a very interesting addition to the deck. Then we have a couple of utility lands. We have Boseiju, we have a couple of copies of Otawara, one of Ghost Quarter, which I'm kind of surprised to see, honestly. I'm surprised. I don't know what we want this for, like, or how on earth this is better than a Boseiju. I just don't know how that works. But here we are. And then Cavern of Souls that can act as a way to make Tameshi uncounterable and allow us to combo, which is very cool. In the sideboard, we have some extra tutor targets in Sanctifier and Vec. 3 copies of Burrenton Forge Tender. This card is always hard to pronounce for me. Burrenton Forge Tender, which can, you know, pro-red, very good against monkeys, very, very good against burn-style decks and whatnot. Carnage Tyrant against control decks, Tireless Tracker against grindy decks, Medley Mage in Lavinia against combo, particularly basically Primeval Titan decks or anything like that, or against Cascade decks in Lavinia. We also have access to Tomorrow's Crypt, which again with Tameshi, it's a way to recur our Graveyard Hate, which is very nice. Alpine Moon against Tron and stuff like that, and Seal of Cleansing, also a recurable way to answer opponents' stuff. Couple of copies of Prismatic Ending, Catch-All, same thing with Spell Pierce, sort of a catch-all against the decks that will pack interaction against us. I'm very excited to try this deck out. I think this deck is very, very cool, and it's kind of in its infancy. But Davius has been doing really well with it, and I also heard of other players trying it out and having success with it. So I'm pretty excited to give it a shot and see how it goes. But yeah, we're gonna be trying it through a modern league. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you do, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. And if you're interested in coaching, or if you're interested in supporting the stream in a different way, you can go to Patreon, or you can find information on how I can play any deck of your choosing for YouTube or live on stream as well. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you for round number 1. Okay, here we go. I assume this hand is a keep, so we can go turn 1, suspend Lotus Bloom, play a tapped land, turn 2, play Steve, then turn 3 Tameshi, although we're probably not gonna be playing Tameshi turn 4 anyway, but this seems like an okay spot. Alright, pass the turn. Let's see what we're playing against. The opponent moves to 6 for the record. Gonna be suspending a lot of Lotus Bloom, so we wanna make sure that we have some room here. In that Triumph. What can that Noble Hierarch? Right on time. I think at this point I'd rather play Steve, and we can sack it to go get a plains. Opponent plays Wooded Foothills, crack. Let's see what we're up against. Steam Vent, Scion of Drake. Okay, I guess that's something that happened. Turn 2, Scion of Draco. I wonder if we're playing against the Blast deck, because if we're playing against the Blast deck, I guess I'm kind of really interested in bouncing this thing. So let's go get a basic plains here, and let's hope that we don't untapped source. No untapped source. So we can play Tameshi, but it doesn't really do anything. So then we're gonna take 4 from the Draco. I think I'm just gonna play Otawara, and I'm just gonna play my cards here. I don't think that we're really playing against anything. And if my opponent has a removal for the Tameshi, I think we just play out our cards, and then we potentially win next turn. I have to imagine opponent attacks here. And I have to imagine this is the calibrated blast deck. I don't know. It could technically be like some Sue style deck. Looks like we still don't know. We still don't know what we're playing. But at least we know that we are gonna be able to do some stuff right now. Oh yeah, portable hole right on time against the 12 drop. Yeah, okay. X is 1. Bounce this. Hey, we even get to draw a card here. Can you believe that? Some pretty good value. All right, we draw another Lotus Bloom. Not great, but I don't really think need that anyway. I just realized that we can bounce our own. Wow, we can bounce the Otawara here. How cute is that? So we're gonna call for Osus. Cultivator call Osus. Let's make some green mana here. Here, white mana, X0. Bounce this thing, more white mana thing. And our win condition here is going to be Finale. So, but first I want to make sure that I, draw as many cards. So here's Cultivator. It's really funny that the Cultivator dies whenever it play. I find that hilarious. Play that. Play that, I know, play that, play that, play that, play that, play that, say, gonna have to say Moonfolk. Alright, we're done here. So now we keep going off here. We're gonna float some blue mana now and get that back. Bound land. We see it's a lot of iterations. We have not drawn the finale, unfortunately, so we're just gonna have to keep going. Lots of clicking involved in this deck. Call for Cultivator, and I think I'm just gonna. I mean, we still have to draw the freaking thing, right? So I'm gonna keep going. I'm probably just gonna edit this part out as I a lot of clicking, so sure that you folks are not bored to death. All right, so we eventually found the finale. We go fetch another Colossus for a good measure, and I'm done clicking stuff, so we're just gonna go to combating. Sweet! Alright, successful first game. Definitely a successful first game. So I'm going to assume that we are indeed playing against the calibrated blast deck. That was a lot of clicks, but it didn't really take up that much time. Like, it took me only 3 or 4 minutes to play through the combo, so it's not that big. So Meddling Mage sounds great. Spell Pierce sounds great as well. Calibrated Blast gets got by Forge Tender too. Sanctifier and Vec is interesting because it exiles the thing. It's more of a matter of we just have bad cards, so we can get rid of Portable Hole. Skyclave seems terrible. What else? The Fairy seems a little bit medium, so let's get rid of the Fairy. It can bounce their Dracos, but kind of whatever. I don't think that's worth a card really. As you can see, the Dracos don't really. So Seal Removal can also go. I guess I'd rather have the Fairy than Seal of Removal in any case. And wonder what the last cuts can be. I wonder how often you get to cut stuff like Cultivator Colossus and whatnot. I do think I want to have access to a couple of the Fairy, just in case. But I think that these cards are going to be the most important. But I wonder if I can, get rid of some number of Ledamber Skull and stuff like that. Maybe get rid of Ghost Quarter and Bull Hierarch. I'm not sure that that's good sideboarding, but we'll find out. Yeah, and this is what I was afraid of, right? You're just playing cards like Cavern of Souls, And I don't think I'm supposed to ship this hand, right? Like, this hand is just fine, but like, you're playing Cavern of Souls in this deck seems a little bit greedy. A little bit very greedy, I would even say. I don't think I'm afraid of anything that my opponent could play here on turn 2. Again, I'm putting them on the Calibrated Blast deck. That's based on the information that I have. It's possible that that's not what they're playing, but it's what I assume that they're playing. Yeah, okay, now we get confirmation. So now we know what they're up to, and I guess I'm gonna name our teaser here. And maybe I should have put Tormod's Crypt in the deck. So, okay, Blast Zone is potentially problematic. Pierce Eve. Yeah, I think this. Hold enough spell pierce here. We can pierce the blast. And we'll see what my opponent does. I'm assuming that they're gonna cast it on my end step. I mean, it's the only thing that their deck does, so you know, I'm assuming that they have it. There goes that turn. And next turn, Teferi actually stops their Cascade shenanigans, which is nice. And it looks like they do have the Cascade spell. Oh no, they just have another blast. All right, revealing Autoct. So I take 15, which is no joke. So I'm gonna go fetch for a white source here because I'm gonna need to draw either Forge Tender or something like that. Yeah. Yep, that one also plays. That one also plays. So gonna fetch for Lotus Bloom here, put it in the graveyard, play Misty Say Go. We're at 3 though. So if my opponent somehow drew another one of the Calibrated Blasts, we're gonna be in trouble. We're at the virtual 2 because of the Raminap Ruin. Really have to find Tameshi here. Oh no, we're actually just dead because they sack this and then they sack the Raminap Ruin. So we're dead to any land and there's no way that we can interact with. So what I can just do is I can just draw the Tameshi right. If I draw Tameshi, I think we win. Scion of Draco? Oh, that's so good for me. They effectively time walked themselves. That's fantastic. Amazing. Great for us. They're very good. So we can get, I can't get another white source, but I still think I should get it. So we're just going to play the Fairy, bounce the Draco. Like, that is so good for me. That's very funny. They could have just activated, oh, I guess they don't have double red. That's why they didn't do it. Yeah, so that's fine. I guess it makes, okay, so we untap, kind of sucks. It kind of sucks because we're one off of comboing off here. And not only we're one off of comboing, but we're also in a situation where if we play the Fairy, I guess I can go, yeah, I can go white, blue, colorless, and then I have green, white to call. And then we combo off next turn. So maybe we're fine. So 1 blue. Here's the Fairy. When you bounce your guy, we get to draw a card. And Lotus Bloom for good measure. Is there any way? I'm trying to think if there's any way that I can get punished for this attack. I think I'm just not gonna attack. There's no reason for me to. I'm just gonna win next turn. So yeah, there's just no reason. So if they do draw the Calibrated Blast, and it needs to be one of the 2 remaining Calibrated Blasts. If they draw the Cascade thing, it doesn't do anything because I have the Fairy in play. So it needs to be one of those things. Raminap Ruins doesn't do it either because I'm at 3, so I would go down to 1. Okay, that resolves. Goblin Engineer entered the Exile Zone. Wow. So I guess the Sanctifier sees the Engineer going, so it gets exiled. That's cute. Didn't even know that was a thing. All right, cool. So my opponent plays that. In response, I'm just gonna call for Tameshi. And now we have lost the Fairy. Meshi, get my Lotus Bloom back. Now we drew the Finale pretty quickly here, but yeah, this is just gonna, so yeah, 1-0. Good stuff. All right, I'm just gonna do a bunch of clicking and I'll see you in. Okay, 1-0 start. This hand is a little bit on the sketchy side of things, but I think I'm supposed to keep this hand. Get to suspend a couple of blooms. We get to go turn 1 Noble Hierarch. I think that this is good enough. There's multiple ways that this doesn't work, but we could have access to a potential turn 3 kill. Turn 4 kill, my bad. Opponent plays Arid, Mesa, and In. So Wargate means that we're gonna be able to stuff next turn. Noble Hierarch getting in there. Feeling frisky, Noble Hierarch. Opponent fetches, and now what? Hatria Triumph. So this can't really be a 4-color pile because my opponent did not reveal Yorion, but it could be a Ren and 6 deck nonetheless, which would be very bad for us, considering we missed our land drop and we put 2 Noble Hierarchs into play. Bolt 1 Hierarch. Okay. Land, please, so I can resolve this to Fairy. That would be great. Can I please throw a land? All right, so we're just gonna resolve the Fairy here, take it easy, plus, and then we are playing against the creativity deck, so definitely want to chill here. They do have red. Okay, all right, we're gonna be able to do a bunch of things here because the Fairy there would have been extremely problematic for obvious reasons. Two Lotus Blooms on suspend, that would be a very good Teferi Time Raveler. We're gonna cast our blooms, draw a card for a turn. It's a Windsweep. So we can play Tameshi, get back Lotus, bouncing the white source. This is the first one, so this one's gonna draw us a card. Let's see what we find. Ghost Quarter. Okay, so white. So we're gonna have, this is interesting. So I think we're gonna be okay because we drew double Lotus. So now we make, I guess we play the Otawara because we might as well. Practice for white, get it back, done. Now we're gonna crack this for green, and we have to do 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I think we're good as long as we keep on some white mana floating. Let's minus first portable hold. So yeah, go for white. And we're gonna wargate for X equals 7. This is gonna find us our Cultivator Colossus is gonna allow us to draw 4 cards here. Oh, I guess what I should have done is, oh wow, I actually missed that play completely. I had to play the Colossus and find it as a 1/1, then with the fairy minus on Colossus, and that would have allowed us to go off, to continue going. I honestly did not think about that line at all. This is cool though. This is cool. Like this, I like this kind of deck. I like this. I love when making mistakes. I love making mistakes and like being punished by them. It's cool. Like it's cool to, you know, to make a bad play and get punished by me. So might as well just, you know, get rid of the Ren 6. But yeah, we whiffed pretty hard there. And now we can, I guess I'm gonna suspend the bloom. And we're holding up Spell Pierce here. I guess I could bounce 2 lands to have 2 blooms in play. That's probably better. So do that and just pass the turn with a couple of Lotus Blooms in play. Seems worth it because that also allows us to Otawara. And that's all right. Ship it back. We fizzled pretty badly there, but I don't think that there's anything too bad that can happen. I guess a Lightning Bolt on the Tameshi would be problematic, but we can Otawara it back to hand if we really need. 3 mana from opponent. 2 damage to any target, destroy target artifact. I think this is fine, right? I don't care about this, so I'm not gonna pierce that because it doesn't kill the Tameshi, right? Like anything that doesn't kill the Tameshi, I can let resolve, no problem. Opponent gets back the Arid Mesa, that's fine. We're gonna untap, we're gonna get to play another Teferi Time Raveler and another Teferi Time Raveler. So I guess I can crack this for red, or I guess I just get back Portable Hole. That's the first order of business. First thing, we get back Portable Hole, we draw a card, we fizzle again. All right. This is getting tricky. This is getting very tricky. So I guess I minus Tef on nothing. I already drew my land for the Tameshi, so I'm not drawing anything by bouncing. Another Teferi. All right. We got the fairies. Also, I just realized like this old engineer can't go find anything, which is very weird. All right. We have Spell Pierce and we have Otawara available. So we got some business, but we fizzled pretty badly. We have Eladamber Skull. What's the name of the other thing? Eladamber Skull helps us here. One is gonna do something first. So if they do this, I guess it's better for me to Otawara the token because otherwise my opponent can just attack the Teferi. So I'm just gonna Otawara the token. Oh, I guess I didn't have to fetch. Ooh, Otawara only costs 3 because I have a legendary creature. Sweet. Didn't my opponent know about that? I think they knew about the Otawara. I may be wrong about that, but pretty sure they knew. And this card is kind of sick in this deck. Something that kills them, please. This is yes, finally. That was, man, I'm getting some maniacal laughter vibes over here. But no, we're good. That's pretty funny. That is float white, target there, bounce a land, float a mana, make some white, play that. That was a cool line though. I wish I had thought about it before doing this. I wish I had thought about that line before. Obviously, you know, inexperience with a deck like this can be quite costly, and expertise really takes it to the. It's the kind of deck that if you have a lot of experience with, you will see lines that other people. Okay, so having drawn the other Colossus, Lux Finale, so we are good. We're getting a lot of no concessions. I imagine that has to be with the fact that people want to know what the win condition. Gotta say that going off with Cultivator looks fairly lethal to me. Minus 60, minus 64. Okay, so we're playing against the Creativity combo deck. So Spell Pierce looks fine. Melee Mage looks good too. Dramatic Ending also looks enticing to me. I think I want to cut the Hierarch straight up, and then Forge Tender is a little bit interesting. Lavinia doesn't do anything, and I don't think I care about the other cards. So I think these are the cards that I want. I want some Pierces, want some Prismatic Endings, Portable Hole. We can again get Ghost Quarter. I think I like that. Man, again, these Cavern of Souls being so awkward. I don't like this card at all. This seems so greedy to me. So I can go turn 1 tapped Stomping Ground, suspend Bloom. If my opponent has the Fairy, I have to back it up, but I think I still keep this hand. Man, it's so bad. It's so freaking bad. Punished by the Cavern of Souls twice already. Yikes. Hey, look at that. I guess complain enough and you shall be rewarded. So this turn I'm just gonna probably play out the Flooded Strand and just say go, and then on the end of my opponent's turn I'm probably gonna go get Meddling Mage, which is gonna be a little bit awkward with the Tameshi, but I think that I'm gonna get comboed out before I get to do the thing. So I guess, yeah, I think so. I think I want to do that. So let's get a Plains here, Eladamri's Call, and let's go get Meddling. I don't think my opponent can kill me if there's, and then on the following turn I can go and suspend the Bloom because there's nothing else that I can do with it, and I'm just gonna Meddling Mage right now. Okay, so we named Creativity, pass the turn. Next turn we're gonna probably attempt to go off. Opponent fetches, shocks, and then step they're gonna Prismari Command. It was another option to just, you know, just instead of doing that, we could have named one of the removal spells. The problem is that they have so many removal spells that I don't think it's really worth trying to guess which one they have in hand. Like they showed me Bolt, they showed me, I assume they have Fire and Ice, and this is obviously like the worst possible case scenario, right? Like now my suspended Lotus Bloom appears, so this is obviously terrible. Guess I'm gonna have to play Tameshi. Yeah, this is not looking good for us anymore. Not looking good at all. Fetch and end step. Ugh, they have a Bolt too. Probably game. I think I'm good to concede. I just don't think we're winning that game anymore. We just don't have enough resources to be able to catch back up. I wonder if we want Tireless Tracker in this. It's interesting because it kind of feels like it slows down a lot. So maybe something like Meddling Mage just doesn't do anything because it just trades with a removal spell. And at that point, I'd rather have something like Forge Tender. Yeah, I think I'd rather have Forge Tender. Okay, what do we got here? We're on the play. And I think I'm gonna keep this hand. So what I like about this hand is that we can go turn 1 Bloom and then suspend Bloom, I guess. And then if we're forcing my opponent to have the Teferi exactly on 3, and even if they do, if we draw any land, then we can just Wargate on turn 3 and just go put the Bloom in. So I think that's very, very nice. We're gonna fetch Ketra Triumph in case we draw a Goblin Engine. So let's go find our Triumph and pass the turn. Trigger Bloom. All right, that's so I guess I'm gonna go for Steve. We're gonna call for Steve, which is not a play that happens often. The good old call for Steve does not happen very often. We could they have turn 2 Ren but no land to get back. That's hilarious. Alternatively, we could go get Skyclave. Now so I'm assuming that they're short on lands. We find land here. We do find. So does finding land there mean that I want to play Steve anyway, or would I rather play my own Teferi? Because I think that we can just go off next turn, right? So yeah, I think that we play Steve here. Go up to 4 mana. Next turn, we Wargate for 3, then play Tameshi, get back. Yeah, I think I have to play Steve. I think we have to play Steve here. Because I mean, my opponent can tap out for Teferi, and they get my Lotus Bloom. But even if they do, we still kill them, I think. So I have Finale, so maybe it's not deterministic. Rest in Peace. We can be the good old Ren and 6 Rest in Peace combo deck. You love it. So that's gonna make things a little bit awkward, though. So now we want to get probably a white source here. And now we're gonna have to Teferi plus, I think. But if I Teferi plus, well, my opponent could have played land, gotten him back before playing the rest. I think they made a pretty bad mistake there. Okay, so here comes the Bloom. Here comes the Bloom. And we can go Teferi minus and Rest in Peace. Teferi minus and Rest in Peace. Play Tameshi. Play Tameshi for blue. Get it back. This is kind of sick, actually. So get back Bloom. Bounce land. Draw a card. How much mana does this net me? Ooh, we found Colossus. That's gas. Get that back. Get a land back. Play that because sure. White. Get that back. Float white. Green, get that back, boom, and I guess we're not whiffing, so we can just play Cultivator here. Play 1, play 2, play 4, play 5, another land, another land, another land. This is kind of fun when you get it going. Kind of fun. I just wish that people would concede to it. Like, I think the deck is still too new, so I think people are just like, wait, am I dead here? Like, do I have a shot here? But yeah, my opponent's actually just dead. So I'm just going to pause the recording and we're gonna be 2-0. Sweet. All right, 2-0, and this hand looks good. So we can go turn 1, Lotus Bloom, tapped land. Turn 2, call for Tameshi. Turn 3 to Fairy. Turn 4, win. Not bad. Not bad if you ask me. So on the turn of going off, I guess it's better. No, but it just uses. I'm trying to think. Oh, no. Whoops. Wow, almost F6 through my first turn without Bloom. That would have been bad. Opponent gets a Savite. Unclear whether that's for us or bad news for us. Pretty sure we'll figure out soon enough. We can also just Wargate on 3. That's pretty nice. Like, Wargate both of, basically all of our combo. Pretty sick. What is Savite Plains? What is? Okay, so we do get our Triumph. Upkeep Lotus Bloom. Now, I think we're just player we go. Our best draw is probably Steve. Steve is kind of great because every land that you have in play basically represents 2 more mana on the turn that you're going off. So that makes me really want basically on every single. I wonder if we should be playing more copy, right? Past the turn. Also, I'm starting to think maybe I should have fetched for basic on turn 1. Blackstones of Troke. Wildfire their own land. Is this like the silly, what's his name deck? I remember the name of the person that was playing the stupid the mana type deck. I mean, I'm gonna call here because if I resolve the call, that means tap on the Fairy. Plains here. Let Amber's call. And Engineer. Alright. Yeah, I think I'm gonna play around 11. Like it's free to do, right? Plus and say go. Opponent could have Prismatic Ending for sure. But then, like, next turn we win with backup, right? Because we're gonna have 3 mana up to 6. Then we play 3 for Tameshi, 3 to off the Bloom. Then we get 1 Ranger Captain. Okay. Green Lava Mance. They literally just got Lava Mance rolled. All right. To say that I wasn't expecting this event. All right. We did get brought back, I guess. And now opponent gets Walk and Fairy. Here comes the Bloom, though. I guess I was gonna say my opponent can just crack Ranger Captain there badly. But we can't cast the Bloom. What we can do, though, is we can Goblin Engineer, get a Bloom in the graveyard, then play these. So that now I not only can I not get rid of it, but I also can't get it out of the screen. It's very stupid. I'm gonna make it. What else do you got? I think we're gonna get Breeding Pool here. Maybe that's Seal of Removal is actually. So what can we do here, and we've played all lands so far. So we can play Tameshi. That's 3 mana. 1 mana to act and get back to Lotus. That's gonna be 3 mana, and we're gonna have 1 blue. Then we get 3 from Lotus Bloom, and we have another activation. That's 2 lands down, and 5 mana on the pool. Then 1 more activation. That's 7 mana, 8 mana, 9 mana. So I think I have enough, and I can do that with Seal of Removal to play around 1 removal spell. Unfortunately, we can't play the Fair, but I think this should, unless I'm missing. One could bolt here. Man, that Ranger Captain really got me. We would have won very easily with the Lotus. Right, so that resolved. Some white mana. Get that thing back. More white mana. That thing back. Some green mana. Get that thing again. So now we can do 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wargate for Colossus is going to come into play and immediately die, which is, I think, my favorite interaction that this deck has. The fact that you get a Colossus and die. So many lands. So many lands. It's a land party. We are done. Now, get that Lotus Bloom card once again. And I get it again. I'm going to cast Colossus here. You know, we can continue going in condition at this point. How the hell have we not found the finale just yet? This is wild. All right, I guess we'll just keep going. So I casted the Fury to guarantee that we were not gonna get got, and my opponent had Ephemerate, so I'm just gonna Seal of Removal the Fury. I guess I could have also PO them. I guess good thing I did that. Wonder if my opponent has a Solid. But yeah, we have 13 cards left in our deck, and we have not seen if that result. Go back to doing our thing. Okay, now we're gonna cast the other Colossus. This is gonna be throw the remainder of our deck. Probably take it from there. This should be lethal. Opponents are not good today. Anyway, game number 2. Brought back is an interest card. I think I do want Spell Pierces. Forge Tender seems pretty good against Fury. I probably have to be afraid. Ooh, Lavinia. Really want Lavinia. Sanctifier, probably. Portable Hole seems bad. Apparitions, probably a little bit sketchy. And I guess I don't want Noble Hierarchs against the Fury deck. I'm gonna trade them for Forge Tenders. Yeah, this looks fine. Game number 2, and we, once again, these stupid Cavernous Souls. I'm gonna keep it anyway. I guess we're gonna name Human. We can cast Lavinia and Sanctifier and back. I hate this Cavernous Souls so much, though. I hate it so much. So we're gonna get attacked here by Esper Esper Sentinel, and now it's I think I'm gonna lead on Spire. So we're gonna get a White Sun, and then I'm just gonna play Cavern on Human, and I'm just gonna play Sanctifier. Next turn we get our choice of playing Lavinia or playing Fairy. I think we're gonna play Teferi. No, actually we're gonna play Lavinia. So because of Espers, a lot of 1-drops, and I'm not particularly stoked about my opponent drawing a bunch of cards. Lavinia turn. This Spell Pierce is looking really bad. Getting owned by this Esper's Fury. That kills Lavinia. Yeah, that's a little bit of a problem, you know. So I think what I'm gonna do is this turn I'm just gonna Wargate for. Yeah, we're gonna Wargate for white, blue, Wargate for 0. Finds Bloom. Gonna pay for one of these Sentinels, but next turn I can 1, 2, so it's 5 to Finale for Tameshi, but I'm still missing 1. So the best draw is Tameshi. Like if I draw Tameshi, right? But Fire is indeed quite wild. We have a bunch of air. One of them fetches, probably good for me. Only having access to 1 blue source is a little bit awkward, but I think it's kind of fine. It's not like my opponent can pressure me here, right? Like if they do attack, I'm just gonna block one. Yeah, they don't really have good attacks. Ghost Quarter is very awkward. I guess it allows me to play the Fairy and pay for both Sentinels. Mana Tithe, I think that's fine. And it's like every turn gets better. Also Mana Tithe plus Esper Sentinel. It's a sick combo. So we've run out of time now. We're just gonna have to go off here and hope that we don't whiff. So it's 5 mana to find Tameshi. We already have the Bloom, and then we cannot pay for anything, and we can do Fairy. So we have 2 look. I mean we're dead next turn, so I don't think we have any other options. But I don't love this. Equals 3, and I guess we can pay for one of these. No, I'm not gonna pay for either because right. Opponent has only 1 mana, so library for get back Lotus Bloom. Bounce this. And we get 2 looks. Opponent could have another Solitude, I guess. That's 1 whiff. That is 1 whiff. Time to rub the hands together, and we get 1 look. We get 1 look at it. Current turn force. Ugh. I mean, I can Otawara this. Do I have a way to survive here? I Otawara this. Then opponent recast, and I Forge Tender it. Not great. Not a great play. I guess I can just seems much better. So we're gonna block the Fury. We're gonna try to go again next turn. Not looking great though. Opponent has 4 cards in Fury. Prevent 4 damage here. We're gonna see if my opponent taps out for something here. They're just gonna brought back because they could have cast the Fury there instead of pitching. Brought back. I was thinking that maybe I could Otawara my own Tameshi, but then my opponent just doesn't quite work. I don't think I like the Pierces as much as I thought I would. I think Forge Tenders are fine, and everything else. Okay, game number 3. We have turn 1 Forge Tender, turn 2 Steve, turn 3 Teferi. Not bad. We also have Engineer to get thing into the graveyard. Start off with Temple Guard, and I think I do want to get some non-basics because my opponents play around Tithe, probably, mostly because we can. There's just no need to run into it, right? So let's just fetch for Triumph. Opponent gets their lands. Now I carry. So I think I want to Fairy into play this, or I can Steve, and then next turn Tameshi plus Engineer. Because the problem, I could just go Tameshi, I could go Engineer this turn. Next turn Tameshi go off, but then we're dead to my opponent interact stuff. So I think I'm just gonna play Teferi and plus. Opponent has not shown me that they have more colors of mana, and Forge Tender means that Eerie doesn't really do it here. We have another. My opponent made some plays that added up to nothing. Now that's a terrible draw though. So now we need to find the red source here. Stomping Ground. Go down of the Skull. That's a card, I guess. Opponent found Solitude. Good draw. Very, very. So now we go 1, 2, Tameshi. Get back Bloom. That. Draw a card. White mana. Back Bloom. I'm gonna call for Cultivator. Now Bloom. I think the Cultivator right here. Cards. Wargate. Wargate allows us to keep going. Tameshi really is a hell of a card. Draw a bunch of cards again. Kill no Finale. Jesus. Not only no Finale, but we've also kind of whiffed a lot. Like we didn't really find that many lands. I still think we're gonna win here, but like it's just taking a lot longer than it should. All for Colossus. We don't really have that many cards left in our deck, to be honest. Okay, there it is. There's the Finale. It's interesting how it doesn't Legend Rule in media. Done. Legend Rule. And now we finally get to. And even if we had whiffed there somehow, which is extremely unlikely, we can still bounce our own Cultivator with. I think my opponent is just hoping that I time out. That's just not gonna happen. We're actually very, very close to just finishing this up. And Teferi means that they have no real way of interacting with what I'm doing here. 4 X equals everything. Equals 14. Seems get back. Steve's ready to rumble. Steve is ready to rumble. Get in there, Steve. Sweet. Minus 113. And right now, just like that, we're 3-0. This deck is legit. This deck is legit. Round number 4, and we see the dreaded All-Lander. Look, I like lands just like Guy, but 5 is probably. I'm gonna keep this. This is one of the things that I'm interested in learning, you know, like how I'm gonna keep this though. Like this stance had been so bad, kind of mind blowing. Let's actually go bottom that, bottom Awara. I guess Awara can be interaction. So let's bottom that. Play that. Mull to 5. Let's see if we can win on a mulligan to 5. That's a DR. I imagine this matchup is very bad. So double bubble, opponent being in iteration. That tells me that my opponent's probably short on land because like iteration is a fantastic card. Have access to. Unless they already have multiple iterations in his hand already, or they are looking for lands with their surveil triggers. They keep on top with this. I now I'm fairly certain that they were searching, which is good. Like it's obviously like turn 1 DRC into double bubble. You are very likely on top. Lotus Bloom upkeep. Opponent on my upkeep cracks bubble. Whatever. I think I'm gonna play Otawara here, Steve, and then say maybe I should be saving Otawara for Murktide, but it's very likely that I end up bouncing this Otawara anyway, so matters that much. Opponent plays Misty, crack, it's a base. That's a little bit scary because that can mean blood. Every time I see my opponent fetching basics this aggressively, it makes blood moon. Particularly because at this point you probably figured out the fact that I'm playing some sort of combo deck. So your life total doesn't, and the fact that you know they so aggressively want to fetch there makes me think that they probably have some form of blood moon effects, either Magus or Blood Moon itself. So let's get an island here. Illidan's Cool. So we're just gonna pass it. We're gonna see what my opponent does. Now we can end step, get Tameshi, and we can go off. So if my opponent taps out, they are actually just pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Also, this was a Mull to 4. Move to 5, sorry. And we're still threatening a turn 4 kill. Only stopped by my opponent having interaction here. Imagine they're gonna let this resolve and then counter the other thing, but we're not in any trouble. So if I draw Tameshi, we are in good shape. The Lotus Bloom. It's a pretty good draw. So we can 5 mana. We have only 1 look though. We have only 1 look to go find what we're looking for. I think I need to have 1 more draw step. I don't think that 1 look is enough for me to go off. I don't think 1 look is enough, but like it's kind of cool. Like we found the peers there, so we would have been able to spend 5 mana to go find Tameshi, activate Tameshi, a blue up. So we could have actually whatever my opponent had there. So if they get a little bit, you know, greedy and they go for, ooh, okay, so they're tapping out. So now we have 1 more look at finding a way to win, which is pretty great. They already play the land also. They play the land before iteration, which is kind of weird. All right, Tameshi or something off the top. Murktide. Right, that doesn't. Tameshi or Colossus off the top. And we're gonna be pretty heavy favorites on a Mull to 5, which is crazy. Okay, so they did find the Murktide, which is not gonna change anything at all. Tameshi? Land sucks. All right, we're dead in the air anyways, so I might as well fetch here. And the thinning does actually matter. So let's make 3 mana. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna tap like that. So now we go find Tameshi. Library, Tameshi, and we have 1 look. Have to find. I guess that we can cycle. We can cycle the Triumph. That's the fairy. Okay. Well, they were not dead. They were not at all dead right there. They were not at all dead. I had a bunch of mana, but it's not even infinite mana. And like, yeah, that was that's something that I was wondering about this deck. Like, are people who are winning with this deck just getting a lot of free wins, like free equity, because their opponents just don't understand what's going on? Which I imagine it's definitely a possibility. So, weird thing. All right, I mean, I'll take it. Don't get me wrong, I'll take it every time, but yeah, kind of, man, like I want all of the removal here. I feel like I've been citing out Noble Hierarchs in every single matchup. I wonder if we should be playing them in the first place. Maybe we should just be playing 26 or 27 lands and just ignore the Hierarchs. Although I guess that you probably need them in the race matchups, like against Amulet and stuff. So Sanctifier is great, Forge Tender is great. Portable Holes seems fine, probably necessary. I mean, all of these cards look great to me. We even have Apparition to get rid of Blood Moon, Dramatic Ending to get rid of Blood Moon. I'm gonna cut down, I mean, Forged Tender is fantastic, but I mean, I have to cut a card, right? Ghost Quarter out, 2 more cuts. What if we should just be going all in on Sakura Tribe Elder? Like, this card has been great. Steve has been fantastic. I think I'm going to cut Seal of Removal, even though it's pretty good against Tithe. But I think that I'm gonna be losing to their early game more often than I'm gonna be losing to the Murktide. We also have the Fairy as answers to Murktide anyway. Cutting Apparition is interesting. I'm gonna cut Apparition. I'm not excited about cutting Apparition, like having a tutorable answer to Blood Moon, definitely something to in, but sure, keep this. So we can go turn 1 Forge Tender, that blanks Monkey, pretty good. Then we can also Wargate for Bloom, which is great. And once we get there, then we start to do some other stuff. I mean, my opponent's gonna have counter magic and stuff. I like that. It's actually a pretty solid draw, right? Forge Tender is just such a card. So long ago, and still such a cool card. Iteration just for the cantrip. I guess my opponent just wants to get the airs to get in there, which is, I guess, understandable. Have to raise me. Delirium enabled. And now is the question, like, do we want to play around Blood Moon or not? I think I am, too. Particularly because I drew this, like, now I can find the source here. And I'm not gonna attack because of dash. It's not like the 1 point of damage matter ever. So next turn I'm interested in wargating for him. Another iterate. Opponent keeps on top. Could they be? I guess it was just a land. Looks like it was. I'm probably gonna go for wargate anyway, even if my opponent has spears, but I'm limiting cards that they could have at least. Prismatic ending. Got no clock. Again, next turn the Lotus Bloom comes off suspend. They do have Murktide here. They have Murktide into counterspell. I mean, we have 2 turns Murktide at least. Can we draw a spell pierce, please? Portable hole. Not looking. He didn't counter the bloom. Land here, and I think I'm gonna. I mean, I have to jam one of my spells here, so I can finale for 2, or I can wargate 0. I think I'm gonna wargate. Get another Lotus Bloom. Probably should counterspell, which we successfully baited. If they have another counterspell, rude, but don't. The fairy's also a fantastic draw. Down to 5. We don't die to bold because of Forge. Not good enough right here, Steve. So we just have to jam. Don't really have any other options here. Just gotta go full counters. So this is basically the same card except Forge Tender is just better because it protects my Tameshi. So Forge Tender is 1 drop, then Portable Hole, and this is gonna be exiling 1 drops anyway. So Seal of Removal is mildly interesting to me. I don't think that's what I want anyway. I'm just past the turn. I'm just gonna submit. Game number 3 on the draw. On the play, sorry. I think I'm keeping this. We're gonna go turn 1 Hallowed Fountain, Forge Tender, and then Avinax Spell Pierces. Opponent turn 1 Steam Vent, Shock, Relic. We drew the bloom, suspended, they know, past the turn. We've been in a Relic. We've been in Resting Peak. Probably worse for us than Relic. Clearly we don't just scoop to Graveyard Hate. Okay, we're just gonna chill here. If my opponent taps out, then we're gonna be able to do some stuff. End of turn opponent fetches, Shock, Steam Vents, DRs, and I'm not gonna fetch because this actually forces my opponent to hold up Relic. That's a pickup there. That's a pretty great pickup. Turn we're gonna get to do very many things. So my opponent's taking it easy, so because of that, I'm probably gonna be taking it easy as well, I think. I could Otawara on end step, forces my opponent to crack. I wonder if my opponent's gonna counter this. Imagine that they are. Don't. Maybe they have some breathe. Gonna pass the turn, take it easy here. End step, I'm gonna Otawara their Relic, I think. Opponent does not use their Very. So Bolt we have covered with the Forge Tender. Yes, please step out to place. Please step out to this Murktide. Okay, so now we bounce Relic on end step. Opponent can't really do anything about it. I mean, they can just crack the Relic to draw a card, but you got me. Otawara has been that resolved. Tryon. Untap. Let the fireworks begin. Let the fireworks. So play that. Shock. 1, 2. Architect of Reality. Here's that shit. Here's that shit. Get it out of here. Get it out. The last card is Colossus now. Alright, this deck's great. I don't need to see anything else. This deck is incredible. Ooh, baby. Funny how like my opponent's making me do it this time. The time where I actually do have it, but in the time where I did not have it, not make me do it. Sweet. 4-0, baby. 4-0. This deck is legit. This deck is legit. All right, here we are playing for the 4-0. Are we keeping this hand? Spend bloom on 1. We're on the draw. We can wargate for Tameshi. So we have a turn 4. I think I'm gonna keep it. This may be wrong, and this is when inexperience with the deck really shows obvious. I think this is worth keeping. So I'm only missing 1 piece. If I find the Colossus, Call, or anything like that, then we should be good to go. Because I already have the Tameshi set up. Opponent moves to 6. Turn 1 Delta. Fetch. So probably Shadow? No, Steam Vent. DRC. So I guess it could be Shadow, it could be Murktide again. And they do have the bubble on turn 1. Bubble, Beanie, another bubble. Okay. Kind of awkward how Lotus Bloom gets always countered by the lock. So they cracked bubble main phase, so I'm gonna play. I think I'm actually gonna end up cycling this Triumph. Pass the turn, opponent on tap. This turn is gonna give us a lot more bubble. Second Steam Vents heavily pushes my opponent Murktide meta Murktide territory as opposed to Shadow territory, and the fact that they shocked, obviously very likely that they have a counterspell. Also there's the fact that I buy land, so it's not looking good for me. It's not looking good for the good guys. Look at how many land draws I'm not. They've been considered. Probably shouldn't have gotten Stomping Ground. Should have gotten a White Swords there. Such a bad draw. I think I'm not gonna play it. That's even a terrible draw because it gives them a target for Unholy in a turn where otherwise they're not. So by casting the Unholy, they get to surveil, potentially put a bad card on the graveyard. It potentially enable Delirium. Like it's just so bad. These Noble Hierarchs have been heinous. They have been so bad. Every single matchup, they've been terrible. The very first card I cut every time. At least they make sideboarding a lot easier. I know what I'm cutting every time, right? Ooh, my opponent knows about Tameshi bubble. That's that solved. Oh, come on. Do I even want to play this out? I think I'm gonna. It's not great, but I think I want to, maybe make my opponent a removal spell on the Noble Hierarch. I'm actually surprised that they banned the Consider earlier. It just gives them so much card selection. Yeah, beating counterspell means that they're looking for more lands, and they already have another counter spelling. So I'm really looking for Spell Pierce here. Probably my best draw. Here comes it. My opponent's thinking about it. They know about the Tameshi in hand. They're thinking whether they want to use their removal spell or not. They end up thinking that yes, Spell Pierce has been banned. Kind of crazy how they have 10 cards in the graveyard and they still have not achieved Delirium. Kind of funny. So I mean, we just have to draw Spell Pierce and we're gonna win this. That's also not a bad one. Sure, play that, counterspell this. If they counter this, they lose. So DRC down. I wonder if they shock, get it 1/1. So they have an illusion token. Still only 2 mana. Okay, I'm assuming no main deck Blood Moon, so I'm not gonna play around it. Untap. Another Tameshi would be nice. To the Wargate. I guess next turn we can do both. Next turn we can Tameshi into Wargate for Tameshi. So yeah. And eventually we're just gonna find, I mean, hopefully Fairy. Because, I mean, Tameshi, Wargate for Tameshi gets got by lightning. So I'm not too stoked. I think, man, I really want to see a Spell Pierce. Really want to either Spell Pierce or the Fairy. Draw. Now we do blue mana. And now my opponent doesn't get priority before I get to at least active. Now they're gonna bolt it. Now we call for Tameshi, so we make white mana, make white, green, white, gold for Tameshi, play Tameshi, card, white. I think we're good here. Didn't do that. It looked, this is honestly kind of 7, Vader immediately dies, but this has looked very impressive. To be honest, my opponent's hand was not very good, right? I'm gonna name Giant, just to stay on brand, you know? Bloom. Boom, baby. Boom. All right, so we do like Forge Tenders, we do not like Arc. Magic Endings, medium but acceptable. Sanctifier is good. Spell. And last time we ended up cutting Apparition. I think it still is my worst card. And Portable Hole was also cut. Seal of Removal was also cut. Oh, Ghost. Yep. This is how I cybered the last time and it worked out. I think it worked out pretty well. So let's try that again. I mean, this end spells are fantastic. So I just keep it anyway and just hope that my mana works out. I think I do. I think the deck still needs work. I think it's just a little bit too, like, it's playing Ghost Quarters, playing Cavernous Souls. I think it's like, I could see those being sideboard cards, but we have so many colored mana requirements, and I think that just trying to play those cards is like, we've had mana problem multiple times already. We're also playing Steve, which incentivizes us to play, not even incentivizes, it just requires us to play a bunch of basics. All right, opponent moves to 5. Turn 1 tap, Steam Vents, go, please. And again, the land I cut was Ghost Quarter, right? So it's not like that would be helping me right now. DRC, I imagine that's what they drew for turn. That's a go. Yeah, I mean, my opponent's doing a lot more stuff than when I can't punish them for having a very low mulligan. Also, they finally found an iteration which they didn't find in the entire previous match, which is very funny. All right, that's gonna be an active DRC now. They beat me down. Only 2 mana. Bloodstream, and that's good. That's good. So we're gonna get. I think we probably. I'm not gonna counter whatever they play. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fetch Shock for Hollow Fountain, pass the turn, and then if my opponent attempts to counter my Bloom, I can hit. But this allows me to play around. Funny enough, I think that if my opponent doesn't do something powerful here, we're just far ahead. But yeah, we lost to our mana. I think if we had function, would have been in much better shape. Maybe I should have shipped the hand. Very draw. Because what I can do now is I can bait out with a Wargate. I think I'm gonna do that. Get an island, and I'm just gonna Wargate 0. Boom. I could get a land, but I think getting second load is better. And then next turn we can lead on Time Raveler with Spell Pierce backup. Have double Finale, so we can go off. One and bolts me on end step. Go down to 7. Obviously, any bolt that doesn't kill me is not worth countering with the Forge Tender. Chill. This is the turn. Here come the Fairy. And here, I think we Spell Pierce because, no, actually, yeah, because I have to crack this for, yeah, I need to find a land here. So I actually messed this up. What I should have done is I had to crack this for white and then use white, blue, green to cast the Fairy instead of casting it off the Hallowed Fountain. I may end up losing because of this. So I may end up losing because of pretty brutal. Because now I'm not going to have a white mana. And my opponent needs to pay. Like, they're forced to pay because otherwise they're just not using the mana for anything else. Yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna lose because of it. Because now I don't have double green to Finale. Wow, that's a wild misplay to lose. That's kind of cool, actually. That is kind of cool. So I guess I have to get Sanctifier so I don't die. But I should have won the game right there. I should have won the game right there, and instead we're just kind of treading water. Monkey. And now we're in a very awkward daring contest here. We do have a Lotus Bloom coming up. Nice. I'm not gonna fetch until I can't believe I'm gonna lose this game because of that. They drew 2 instead of stealing my Forge Tender? Are they just trying to put a Murktide into play this turn? Feels like my opponent should have. Yeah, they're wow. Yeah, I'm gonna lose this. Oof. Big oof. Fairy? Dawara. That place. Okay. Hunter will answer to Murktide. Sign me up. No, actually, no. I wonder if they're gonna. I mean, they kind of have to clock me. I mean, I can't believe that I'm losing this game because of how I tapped my mana. That's awesome, actually. That is awesome. I kind of like decks that punish you like this. Like this is a play pattern that I probably would have never thought of, didn't come up. So that's very cool. I think that's very cool. And now they can play a 3/3 Murktide. 3/3 Murktide, and if we draw Teferi this turn, we have a shot at winning. But we kind of have to find it this. Okay, that gives me one look. Gives me one look. It equals 3. So DRC trigger. We only have one look. Library, please. So we can make a bunch of mana, but it doesn't really go anywhere. So I think I'm just gonna play the land. There you go. Exile it instead. So it shouldn't touch the graveyard. So it shouldn't grow the Murktide, unless I'm mistaken about that. So if they bin an unholy heat or something, it shouldn't touch the graveyard, and they kept on top. That's very scary. Oh, second Murktide actually does it. Yep. Wow, I can't believe I lost. I mean, I deserve to lose it, but at the same time, it sucks that I did. Definitely deserve to lose it. Yeah, that would have been pretty good. I mean, we would have... Wow, it would have really whiffed. Okay, so Forge Tender, as we just saw, is fantastic. Maybe Seal of Removal is better than I give it credit for. I still don't think so. I still don't think that's where I want to be. I think I just want to submit this hand. We're going to get a blue source on turn 1. Probably the Triumph. Then if they play something, we can kill it on turn 3. Then probably Wargate for 0. Fetch my Triumph now. Okay. This is how it's gonna be, huh? This is how you're gonna punish me, deck, for making that mistake. This is how you're gonna punish me for that. I see. I kind of want to get an island. I think I want to get an island here. The good thing is my opponent's not on the board, meaning that like they're not pressuring me. I'm gonna play war. I think this is good. I admit. Yeah. Counter. I'm just noticing how good Barintor's Forge Tender would be board state, right? Like it means that I can just run out the domain if I wanted to, and it's not a big deal. I can just get not killed. I think I want to play the fairy, and the reason to play it here is it allows my opponent to use their mana, but they're using their mana while they're not getting other value from it, and otherwise my opponent would have drawn 2 there. Good for me. Chance is not really going anywhere, which is pretty brutal. I think we're gonna lose now. I feel like we're a little bit too far behind at this point. Only way I could see winning this is, I mean, there's no way, literal no way. Magic attack, nothing we can do. We got no Lotus Bloom. Block with a Bolt. This is low-key a very good draw, actually, because my opponent may not counter this. Ugh. Yeah, that's all right. Dead to Bolt. Man, I should have gotten the 5-0. That's brutal. This is so brutal. Yeah, I deserve to lose there, but I should have gotten the 5-0. That stinks. Okay, time to wrap up this league. To say that I was impressed would be an understatement. The deck looked very, very smooth. I was a big fan, and the only match that I lost was 100% to a player error as opposed to the deck. So definitely impressed. Definitely very impressed. The Noble Hires were terrible, and I kind of just want to get them out from my deck for probably literally any card whatsoever. So I've seen people playing Utopis Pro and stuff like that, but I don't even think that I want to go that way, because now there's cards like, you know, People's Removal is Portable Hold, Prismatic Ending, like March, like all of those cards just tag Utopis Pro just the same way that they tag Noble Hierarch. So I wonder if we could just use these slots to just play more. Like Steve was very, very good. It gets more lands into play. More lands means more looks, more draws on the turn where you're going off, and more mana. So they seem so much better than Noble Hierarch, which I always regret having in my deck. The other option would be to play maybe an extra Spell Pierce. By the way, this card was absolutely fantastic the entire league. Every match where I drew it, it was just incredible. So we could, you know, potentially play more of these in the main deck. I was a big fan. The mana base felt bad. I think that the Otawaras were great. Definitely nothing against the Otawaras, but the Cavern of Souls was terrible. And so was the Ghost Quarter. And we even got paired against the matchups where Cavern of Souls was supposed to be good, right? Which is the Murktide matchup. But for every time you play against the decks where Cavern is good, you're going to play against, like we did today, a bunch of decks where Cavern is just, it just makes your mana super awkward. So I think I would like to just not have this and have probably any Shock Land or Fetch Land or any other land at all. And the same is true for Ghost Quarter. If you wanted these to be sideboard cards, sure, like go crazy. But yeah, I also don't understand the point of Ghost Quarter at all. Like this seems super awkward. Like you have no way to tutor for it. You have like you actually sacking your lands is terrible for you. Like your deck needs to have lands in play in order to function. I don't understand the point of the Ghost Quarter. It seems very bad to me and kind of confusing. But you know, going to defer to Davius to tell me in the comments why Ghost Quarter is great. Any arguments he makes for Cavern, I'm not gonna buy, because like this card was just bad. But Ghost Quarter maybe has some. It still looked terrible, but it's maybe there's an argument that's. But yeah, so I want more Steves. I want no Noble Hierarchs at all. I know that this makes the mana base a little bit awkward, but it doesn't matter. I think that that's something that decks like this don't care about having a mana curve, because you're not doing anything on the early turns anyway, right? And sure, you can turn to Teferi thanks to Noble Hierarch, and that's gonna be okay. But like, you never want to turn to Tameshi anyway, because like you only want to cast Tameshi on the turn that you're gonna win. So with that in mind, what's really the point of Noble Hierarch? Because this is just so bad to draw, as it happened multiple times during the league. This is really bad to draw besides on exactly turn 1, and even on turn 1, it's not that great either. Like Ren 6 is running rampant. Like again, like people are playing prismatic endings, people are playing March. So like Noble Hierarch is not safe whatsoever. And it's more of a liability than it helps the game plan in any case. So I'm a big Steve fan, so I would do this. We could cut Ghost Quarter and Cavern to add maybe a couple of basics. I wouldn't mind that at all. So that would make Steve even better. Maybe at least one more basic. I would like to have access to 6 basics if I'm gonna be playing. I would be a lot more comfortable there. And these can be either, you know, maybe some other removal, maybe another tutor target, maybe another tutor itself, or maybe you could play the 3rd copy of Finale. Maybe you could play, I don't know. I don't know if there are any other reasonable tutors that you could be playing. I don't think we can be playing Court of Call-In. Eldritch Evolution also doesn't really function here, so it's kind of another Finale what I would play. But more realistically speaking, I think that we probably want to be playing maybe another main deck Spell Pierce, or maybe another form of hate or removal, sorry. Besides that, again, as I said, I was very impressed with the deck, and I think that there's a lot to work on. That really seems a little bit weird to me. You have like a bunch of cards that you have no way of tutoring for, but you have a bunch of cards that are just kind of awkward. Like Alpine Moon, sure, is good against Tron, but like Tron wants to be bringing in Artifact Hate anyways, or like Artifact/Enchantment Hate anyways, because of Lotus Bloom and stuff. I don't know. It feels like a little bit weird to me. It feels a little bit. I guess that Alpine Moon is also fine against Saga deck, but yeah. Forge Tender was an all-star. Big fan of Forge Tender. It just works out so well in this deck and in this metagame. Sanctifier was also pretty solid. It kind of worked out very well in the matchups where I brought it in. Didn't play against many of those, but it was pretty solid. I wonder if we could have something like, if we wanted it to be a creature, we could technically, sure, Wargate finds Stormwood Script, which is good against graveyard strategies, maybe like Living End or whatnot. But there's also the creature, which is a 2/1 flying spirit, so that's another possible consideration against graveyard decks that you can call for. So you can have Crypt for Wargate and call for like that other thing, and you know, technically both of those would give you the access to the effect on turn 3, so that's another something to consider. Also, the other one is very good against Living End specifically. Endurance, another interesting consideration as well. It's probably better to be playing one of Endurance in the sideboard as opposed to the one that I'm talking about here, which I can't remember the name of the card, but somebody in chat is probably in the comments is probably gonna let me know. But yeah, really impressed by the deck. Very impressed by the deck. It ran super smooth, and the deck should have gone 5-0. I was an idiot and I didn't go 5-0, but the deck should have gone 5-0. In any case, thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate you checking out the video. If you have any comments, thoughts, ideas, feel free to let me know in the comments. And of course, as usual, hit the like and subscribe button if you did like the video. Finally, if you are interested in coaching, or if you're interested in me playing any deck list of your choice on this video or on stream, you can find all the information needed in the description of the video down below. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.